Hello students, I am here with another video from the chapter of class 10th, that is control and coordination. So before starting today's video, I would like to tell you that in the previous video we have discussed about the various hormones. We have discussed about the endocrine system. Previously we have already discussed about the nervous system, and in the last class we have discussed about the endocrine system, where we have studied about the various endocrine glands present in our body and the hormones which are released from there, and these hormones are having the major effects on our body systems, on the organs. Okay, and also we have discussed about the feedback mechanism which is taking place in the animal's body. Now what about plants? Plants do not have nervous system or the sense organs like your ears, eyes and nose. Now what happens? Do all plants coordinate with each other, or what kind of coordination is taking place inside the plants? Or the first question which will arise in our mind is that there is no sense organ, or there is no such endocrine system which is present inside the plants. So these plants are going to coordinate or not? Is there any coordination taking place or not? So today's topic will be about the coordination in plants. We'll study that whether the plants are going to coordinate or not. So I just wanted to tell you about the two words, that was the stimulus and response. Okay, so what is the meaning of stimulus? Let's revise. The stimulus means the signal which is given from the environment. Now as the signal which is being which you people were getting, as we are getting from the environment, the plants also sense the same types of signals from the environment. So these signals are going to work as stimulus for the plants. Okay, so they are going to give response in the form of movement, such as they are going to tilt, and such as they are going to move towards that stimulus, or they will move away from such stimulus. Okay, we'll read about these types of stimulus and responses, whether the plant is going to grow or not, in this topic. Okay, so control and coordination in plants is that the plants can sense the presence of stimulus like light, gravity, chemicals, water, and they also respond to them. These plants can sense light like gravity, and also the hormone system is also present inside these plants, which is going to help the plants to coordinate with the coming stimulus. The plants also coordinate their behavior against the environmental changes by using these hormones. So the hormones in the plants do not act in the same way as in animals, but there is some action of these hormones on the plants which is going to affect the growth of these plants. Okay, and the effect of the growth of the plant can result in the movement of the plant like shoot, stem or root. Okay, since if there is no movement in the shoot, will the shoot be able to grow? Are you going to see that the shoot of once that neem tree was also a very small plant? Can you recognize that neem tree was a very small plant initially? Yes, we could see the changes which is taking place in the shoot and the root of the plant, that is why the plant attains its height, that is why it attains its breadth. Okay, so the animals use both nervous as well as the hormonal system or the endocrine system for their activities, but plants do not have nervous system, so plants use only the hormones for their coordination. Okay, thus the reaction or the response of plants to different stimulus like light, gravity, chemical substances and water is due to the effect of the hormones. So here the hormones play a very important role in the body of the plant. Okay, so please note that the animals can respond quickly because their nervous system is also present, but plants do not respond very quickly because there is no nervous system, so they respond to stimulus very slowly. There is a very slow response. They give the response to the stimulus very slowly by growing. So growth is the only change which you could see when the plant is coordinating, when the plant is showing any kind of coordination. Okay, now here the stimulus, now I'll just talk about few movements which is very commonly seen in the plants. So some examples are given here. When you touch the sensitive plant, the leaves of the sensitive plant, that is touch me not, or its scientific name is Mimosa pudica. Okay, so this plant, the plant's leaves they are going to fold. Okay, so it folds its leaves. Now it folds its leaves. The next is when seed germinates, the root grows down in the soil, and the stem grows up. Okay, and the stem grows up. In the first example, by responding to the stimulus by showing the movement by folding its leaves. In the second example is that when the seed is germinating, it shows directional movement. Once it is going to attain some height, the shoot is going to come up from the soil and root is going to grow below the soil. Okay, the root is going to grow below the soil and the shoot is going to rise up in the just above the soil. This is how you see the stimulus is there. Here the stimulus was gravity, and in the first case the stimulus was your touch. So this is how the plants respond to every stimulus which is present in its surrounding. Okay, so these are the some examples, few examples which you could see very clearly, in a very common life, that the plants show movement to these kinds of signals which is given from the environment. Now I would just like to tell you that what kind of movement, what kind of coordination is taking place inside the plants through this ray diagram. Okay, so I'll just read out quickly. This ray diagram is that coordination or the movement of the plants is in two types. It is of two types. First is the growth dependent movement, and the second one is growth independent movement. What kind of movement is there in the plants? Why we are talking about movement here? Because plants could not move from one place to another. It could show only the movement from its branching, from by its movement of the branch, or from the leaves, or from the roots. Okay, so there is growth. Two types of movements are there. One, it could be a growth dependent movement where a plant is growing. Otherwise, it could be a growth independent movement. Okay, where growth is not going to take place. Only the parts of the plant is going to move. It is not going to grow the plants. Okay, so this is known as trophic movement, where growth dependent movement takes place. Okay, and nastic movement is a movement where growth is not taking place. It is growth independent movement. It is non-directional. Nastic movements is non-directional, and trophic movement is directional, which is in response to stimuli. Okay, from where the stimulus is coming, in the same direction the plant is going to grow. So please remember that trophic movements are always growth dependent movement, where plant will show its growth. It is going to grow in its size, and it is in some direction, and the direction will be decided by the types of stimulus which a plant is going to sense. Okay, and here on this other hand, this nastic movement is a non-directional movement, where independent to the response, the stimulus, the response is given. A response means there could be a response, but it will be an immediate response. Okay, I mean to say that stimulus will be there, but it will not be in the form of any kind of direction. It could be certain scarcity, such as more and more sunlight is there, or if less water is there, so plant's leaf is going to droop down. It is a very temporary state. It is not going to show you the growth. Okay, if you are not going to give water to the plant for one day, what happens? The leaves droop down. So it is not going to show you the growth. So it is an growth independent movement, or it is called the nastic movement. Okay, so this trophic movements are of various types, such as it depends upon the stimulus which is going to be given. So the stimulus, if the stimulus is light, then it is called phototropism, where photo means light and tropism means movement. Okay, trophic, from the word trophic, tropism has come. Now, if the stimulus is gravity, it becomes geotropism. If the movement is because of some certain chemicals, if the plant is going towards the chemical, it is called chemotropism. And if the plant is moving towards water, where water becomes stimulus, is known as hydrotropism. Okay, so these are the types of tropism, that is photo, geo, chemo, and the hydrotropism. Okay, so these we will discuss in details in the next slide. Okay, so here we have seen the types of movement is mainly in the plant is of two types. One is trophic, other one is nastic movement. Okay, please remember these two words. Now we go on to the first, that is growth independent movements. In plants, in plants, the information is carried from the cell by electrochemical means. Okay, we have seen that in animals. In animals also it was coming from our neurons, coming through our neurons in the form of signals, okay, in the form of electrical impulses. But in the plants it is also carried in the form of electrochemical means. Why chemical? Because there is no specialized nervous system, there is no specialized neurons present in the plant, so it is going to conduct the information in the form of chemicals through the plant hormones. In fact, plant changes their shape by changing the amount of water in them. Okay, this results in swelling or shrinking. This changes the shape and results in the movement. Touch me not shows the growth independent movement. Only the shrinking of the cells, only the swelling of the cells is there in such kinds of movement, because of which there will be no growth. So that is growth independent movement. Okay, next is the growth dependent movement. Now growth dependent movements were all the trophic movements where the trophism was required, where any stimulus was required, in which in the same direction it is going to move. Okay, you must have seen the plants such as peas or grapes with the tendrils. Okay, you would have seen the leaves of the grape plant which is growing, okay, like this, and some outgrowth is there. From here you could see certain coiling structures which is coming out from the stem. These are known as tendrils. Okay, these are called tendrils. So these spring like structure which is coming out from the leaf of the grapes plant or any other creeper or the climber, then this is known as tendril. And these tendrils are they have a very peculiar characteristic, very strange characteristic, is that a very interesting feature, that whenever once it finds the support, once this tendril is going to get the support of the stick or the any kind of object which is kept there near to this plant, it is going to twine around, it is going to just attach to that support and it is going to grow. So movement of these plants occur in the growth because of the growing stem of the tendril. Okay, it is because of the tendril. So when tendril comes in contact with the support, it is going to cling around it. Plants respond to the stimulus slowly by growing in a particular direction. This type of growth is directional growth, and it is also known as the trophic growth or trophism. Okay, so here is one very common example which is shown here, is that germination of seeds. Some seeds are germinating, so one of the seed is shown here is germinating, where the shoot is going upward direction in the it is responding towards gravity. It is responding here, the stimulus is gravity. Okay, here could be the stimulus, could also be the light. So this shoot part of the plant is growing towards the light, away from the gravity. Okay, it could be a negative tropism or the positive tropism. Okay, negative means if the plant growth is taking place towards stimulus, okay, then such movement will be positive tropism. Okay, this means it is positive tropism when it is moving towards stimulus. And so here in this example which is given here in this photograph, is that positive tropism is shown by the roots which is moving towards gravity, towards water. Okay, now what about the shoot which is growing here? It is growing away from the stimulus. So once the plant part is growing away from the stimulus, it means it is showing the negative tropism. Okay, so it could be a negative tropism here. The negative tropism of the stem is towards gravity. It is moving away from the gravity, it is moving away from the water. So this kind of movement will be negative, it is showing negative tropism. So please remember the word positive and negative in this case. Fine, negative means it is moving away, but for the case of stem, what will be the positive tropism? It will be towards light. Okay, if the light is the stimulus, it is showing positive tropism, and if we are talking about gravity, it is showing the negative tropism. Fine. Now next is the nastic movement, which is the growth independent movement. Okay, nastic movement is growth independent movement. It is non-directional. It is not going to grow it is not going to show any kind of growth in the plants if they are showing nastic movements. So nastic movements are the movements of the plants that takes place in response to the environmental stimulus. Okay, it is going to show you the responses in environmental stimulus. One such feature of the nastic movement is that the direction of the movement is independent. in the direction of stimulus. Stimulus is coming from this side and the movement is shown in the this side. It could be shown in this side or on the other side. It is not decided, so it is not going to give the response in the direction of the stimulus. It is independent of the direction. That is why it is called nastic movement. For example, the organs like leaves and the petals are directed by touch, as the leaflet of touch me not plants were in the plant's droops when they are touched from any side. Okay, you could touch the plant from the upside or downside. That these leaves could be droop. These leaves are going to show you the same response from any side from where the stimulus is coming. It is independent of the stimulus. Okay, so this type of movement is called nastic movement. Now next is the trophic movement. Trophism or the trophic movement is the response to stimulus that is coming from one direction. If the movement of the plant is towards stimulus, then it is called positive tropism. See, I have told you earlier about positive tropism, and if the movement of the plant is away from the stimulus, is called the negative tropism. Now there are different types of tropism, that is phototropism, geotropism, chemotropism and hydrotropism, and I have given you the overview that phototropism means if the stimulus is light, and geotropism means if the stimulus is gravity, and chemotropism means if the stimulus is chemical, and hydrotropism if the stimulus is water. So the movement is shown in the direction of in response to the external stimulus. Okay, it is a directional movement. That is why it is called tropism, or it is also called trophic movement. Okay, so please remember these two words, that positive and the negative tropism. Fine. Now we are going to move on to the next slide, that is the phototropism. This has to be read in details, that the growth of the plants in response to light stimulus is known as phototropism. It's very easy. Photo means light and tropism means movement. For example, the plant head of the sunflower, positively phototrophic, as shown it is going to move from east to west along the sun's direction. So this is going to move in the sun's direction. It is a directional movement. It is also going to grow because of the presence of sunlight. So this is known as the positive. This is an example of positive phototropism. The shoot shows the positive phototropism, whereas root shows the negative phototropism. As root is going to grow away from the sunlight and shoot is going to grow towards the sunlight. So this photograph is also showing you the phototropism. Now the fruits like groundnuts, here one curiosity corner I have put, what is that? Why the fruits like groundnut are formed underground? So the ovary stalk of the groundnut is showing positive phototropic. It is for positively phototrophic before fertilization, and once it becomes negatively phototrophic when after fertilization. Okay, so this is the reason why the fruits like groundnuts are formed underground. So this is a very interesting fact which I have put here in the form of curiosity corner, that it is showing you about the fruits which is formed inside the ground, such as the groundnuts, where before fertilization of the male and the female gametes, it is showing the positive phototropism, means it is moving towards the sunlight. But once after fertilization happens, then what happens? It is going to grow negatively. It is going to show you the negative phototropism. It is going to grow inside the ground. Fine. The next tropism which we are going to discuss is about geotropism, that is the plants where the stimulus is the force of gravity. Okay, where the stimulus is the force of gravity, that is called geotropism, in which in the form of geotropism, what is gravity? Okay, the gravity means it is a force of the earth which pulls all the object towards it. That is called gravity. The force of gravity always acts in the downward direction. Okay, it is always acting in the downward direction. The response of the plant in the sense of gravity is known as the geotropism. Now here also positive and the negative geotropism will come. How is this positive and negative geotropism is going to come? Because root is growing towards the gravity, means it is showing you the positive geotropism, whereas the stem or the shoot of the plant always grow away from the gravity. This makes sure that it is going to get the light. It is moving away from the gravity. It is showing you the negative geotropism. Okay, so one experiment is also given in your NCERT book, that if you are going to put one plant which is potted already. Now you have to use a jar which is transparent in nature, so that you could see the changes which is taking place in the shoot as well as in the roots. Now you just put the glass, tilt the glass, okay, you just put the glass pot horizontally on the side. Okay, now you use this you have used this potted plant, and after some time you just put this potted plant here like this. Okay, so what will happen? Roots shoot is growing above side and the root is growing below. Now what will happen after some time? You will see that it is going to remain like this for certain days, and after some time you will see that root will turn towards the gravity, okay, because gravity is downward direction and shoot is going to move in the upward direction. Okay, this is how you could prove that how is this geotropism involved in the movement of the plant in a direction which is towards the gravity. Okay, it could be away, so the shoot is going to show you the negative geotropism, whereas root is going to show you the what? It is going to show you the positive geotropism. Okay, so next is the chemotropism. The chemotropism means it is the growth of the plant in response to the chemical stimulus such which is known as chemotropism. For example, the growth of the pollen tube towards the ovule is the in the ovary is an example of the chemotropism. Here again it is a positive chemotropism, is that where the ovules are growing towards the growth of the towards the stigma. Okay, it is going to grow inside the pollen tube is going inside the just above the stigma, and it is going to reach towards the ovary where ovule is present. So this chemotropism is the response of the chemicals. So here the chemical becomes stimulus. Fine, sometimes chemicals are used to avoid the plants. For example, weedicides are used, or insecticides are used, or where we'll talk about the plants only, so we'll talk about weedicides. Weedicides are such chemicals when we put on to the plants, when we are going to spray on the plants, the nearby weeds are going to be they are not going to grow properly, because they are showing the negative they are going to show you the negative geotropism in response to that chemical. Okay, so it becomes a negative geotropism. So chemotropism is the growth of the part of the plant towards the chemical stimulus. Okay, and this is the best example where the growth of the pollen tube is towards the ovule in the ovary. Fine, the pollen tube is growing here sometime. So suppose that this is a flower where ovule is present here. If pollen grains are lying here, the pollen tube is going to grow and it is going to reach in the ovary. So this is because one chemical is released from the stigma of the flower, which is going to attract this pollen grain. Okay, so this pollen grain is going to grow towards the ovary, and some chemicals are released from this ovule also. That is why it is going to reach towards the ovary only, and it is going to meet with the ovule. So this is an example of chemotropism. Next is the hydrotropism, which is very easy, where water is the stimulus for the growth. So the plants where water becomes stimulus to the stimulus for the growth of the plant, that is known as hydrotropism. The growth of the plants in response to water is known as hydrotropism. For example, the roots of some plants grows towards the source even when water source is not present directly below it. Okay, so here in the hydrotropism, the growth of the plant takes place towards the water, which will show you the positive tropism. It is going to move away from the water, it is showing you the negative hydrotropism. Such as the shoot is growing away from the water source, it is showing you the negative hydrotropism, and the root is going towards the water, it is called the positive hydrotropism. So this was about the trophic movements in the plants. Now we go on to the phytohormones, or the hormonal system of the plant. So we will read about phytohormones. Phyto means plant, and hormones, you know that it is a form of a chemical which is released from certain cells of the plant. Okay, so phytohormones, these are the mainly done the control and coordination of the plant is mainly done by these phytohormones. Phytohormones means hormones which is released in the plants, or we are simply called as the plant hormones. So the plant hormones coordinate with the activities of the plant by controlling one or the other aspects of the growth of the plant. So the plant hormones are also called the plant growth substances. Okay, the growth of the plant can be divided into three stages, that is cell division, cell enlargement and cell specialization, and these stages have particular locations in the plant. These three stages of the plant growth, as well as promotion of dormancy, breaking of dormancy, and the stomata control, falling of leaves, fruit growth, ripening of fruits, aging of plants, all are controlled by various plant hormones. Okay, now there are the types of phytohormones which are given here in this diagram, in this slide, is that auxins, gibberellins, cytokinins, abscisic acid and ethylene. All these are the types of phytohormones or the plant hormones. So in plant, development and response to the environment is controlled by the special chemicals called phytohormones. I told you that hormones means they are the special chemicals which is secreted from somewhere. In the case of animals, it was secreting from our endocrine glands. Okay, and in the case of plant also, it is secreted from the specialized cells. It is going to release the hormones, and the plant, and the hormone which is released inside the plant is called the phytohormones. These hormones produced in one part of the plant and of the body, and it is translocated to the other part. For example, hormone is produced in the root, is going to translocate, means it is going to move from one place to another where it is required. If the growth of the root has to take place, suppose that the chemical might be released inside the leaves, but it is migrating from leaf to the roots. So this translocation is required for the growth to be seen. Thus, the growth of the plant hormones is called phytohormones. The growth hormones of the plant are called phytohormones. Okay, there are normally organic substances. They are synthesized in minute quantities in the plant's body, and then they are translocated from the parts where they are required. Okay, so they are produced in very minute quantity, and they are the organic substances. Organic substances means they are biodegradable. Okay, next, the types of hormones are auxins. The first one is auxin. Auxins are the plant hormone which is present, which is going to be produced at the tips of the plant. Okay, it is going to be produced at the tips of the plant, and root and the shoot tip it is produced. Okay, so this is going to this is a growth hormone, where when the growing parts of the phototrophic plant detects sunlight, the auxin is synthesized in the shoot tips. Okay, it is going to synthesize in the shoot tips. Next, it helps in the cells to grow longer. When the light falls on one side of the plants, auxins generally diffuse towards the shaded part. Okay, suppose that this is the tip of the plant, here auxin is produced and sunlight is falling here. So once the sunlight is falling here, the auxin is going to migrate to the shady part. Okay, once it is going to migrate towards the shady part, it is going to tilt from its growing area. That is how the shoot is going to grow from the shade. It is going to grow longer. This stimulus of the cell in the shaded area grows longer than that corresponding to the illuminated area, means from the sunlight it's not going to grow very faster, but the plant part which is away from the sunlight, which is receiving the auxin hormone, is going to grow at the faster rate. Okay, so once it is going to grow, it is going to show you the directional movement also. Now this auxin is the mainly responsible for the shoot and the root growth. Okay, and it also helps in the promotion of the cell enlargement, and it is also help to promote the fruit growth also. Next is the gibberellins. The next hormone is the gibberellins, where these gibberellins are produced. They are produced at the root of the plant. They promote the elongation and promotes cell division at the internodal stage. It is going to increase the width of the plant. It helps with the promotion and the cell enlargement and cell differentiation in the presence of auxins. Gibberellin also helps in breaking the seed dormancy. Okay, this is another new word, seed dormancy. What is that? Seed dormancy. So this seed dormancy is nothing but when the seed is sleeping. It is dormant, it is inactive. Okay, now this is going to break the seed dormancy. See, suppose that many seeds you are putting inside the soil. and the seeds are to be grown in the winter season. So when the winter season is going to come, then only that seed is going to grow. For example, pea plant, you have to put, pea plant will grow only in the winter season. It is not going to be produced in the summer seasons. And if you are taking the seeds of watermelon plant, it is going to grow in the summer season. It is not going to grow in the winter season. So why does this happens? So if you are going to put both the mix both the seeds together, where watermelon seeds and the pea seeds, what will happen? These plants are not going to grow. One of the seed will remain dormant. It is going to remain inactive. It is going to remain inactive. So this seed dormancy is very much responsible, as it is the inactive stage of the seed where the seed is not going to grow properly. It is not going to show you the growth until the time this dormancy is broken down. So this inactive stage has to become as an active stage. So this active stage is brought by this gibberellin. Okay, so this is going to break the dormancy in the seeds and the buds. It is also helpful in the growth of the fruits. Next is the cytokinin. Cytokinins are the plant hormones which are going to promote the cell division. They are also present in the greater concentration in those areas of the plant where the rapid cell division occurs, for example root tip and the shoot tips. So they are also produced at the tip of the shoot. Okay, and it also helps in the breaking of seed dormancy, and it also helps in delaying the aging of the plant. Okay, it also promotes the opening and closing of stomata. It also promotes the fruit growth. Fine. Next is abscisic acid. Abscisic acid is responsible, it promotes seed dormancy. Okay, now it is going to promote seed dormancy. Promote seed dormancy means it is going to make the seeds inactive and also inhibit the cell growth. Okay, now once suppose that pea seed is there and it is going to remain in the soil for a longer time. How it is going to remain in a longer time? But it will remain active in the active form only, but it is not very active in that very season. So it is going to be activated only in the winter season. In the complete summer season it is going to remain inactive. And how it is possible? It is possible because of this abscisic acid, which is going to promote the seed dormancy. But in the previous one, this gibberellins, they were responsible for breaking the seed dormancy. Please remember this. Okay, so it is going to promote the inactiveness in the seeds, because of which they remain inactive as inhibit the cell growth. This involves the opening and closing of stomata also. It is also responsible for the shedding of leaves, and the new name for shedding of leaf is the abscission, from where is the word abscisic acid has arisen. So it is called abscission, ABSCISION. Okay, this is called abscission or abscission. Okay, so this is called abscission. So here this abscisic acid is responsible for the falling of leaves, shedding of leaves during autumn season. So this abscission is because of this abscisic acid, from where the word has arisen. Next is ethylene. So this ethylene or ethene, sometimes it is called ethene hormone also. This is the only gaseous hormone. Please remember this ethene is, or ethylene is, only the gaseous hormone which is present in the plant. Okay, and it helps in the fruit ripening. The raw mango is going to become the ripened mango because of the formation of this hormone, because of the effect of this ethylene. So it is going to produce it is also produced during the ripening of the fruits. It is not going to produce in every time. It is only going to produce during the ripening of the fruit has to happen. That is why this this plant hormone is also responsible for breaking the bud dormancy, where bud is going to become dormant. It is going to become active. Sorry, it is not going to become dormant. It is going to become active, and then only the fruit is going to come. Once the buds are activated, then the flower is going to form. After the flower, the flower is going to convert in the form of seeds, in the form of fruits. Okay, so next is the fruit ripening, which is because of the ethereal liquid which is sprayed on the plants for facilitating the fruit ripening. Okay, it consists of dilute. This chemical is there where this chemical is used. 2-chloro-ethyl phosphonic acid is used, which breaks down and release the ethylene hormone, and it helps in artificial ripening, commercially used for ripening the fruits such as pineapples, mangoes and bananas. Okay, how over ripening can be prevented? Now if a fruit is going to over ripen, because chemical does not know it is going to ripen the fruit in a normal way or in an abnormal way. Okay, since till the time this chemical is going to spray on the fruit, it is going to ripen the fruit, whether it is over ripened or under ripened. So what happens, this carbon dioxide in higher concentration is sprayed over it, so that the fruit is going to stop its ripening. It inhibits the production of ethylene. So this is how it is going to control the fruit ripenings. Now this movement is very much related with the hormone. The movement is shown because of the presence of the hormone in the plants. So these plants are the functions of phytohormones, or the plant hormones are that they help in the germination of seed. They also break the seed dormancy, then only it is going to germinate. Next, it is going to help the shoot, root and the leaves. Then it also helps in the movement of stomata, that is stomatal movement in the leaves. Then it is also responsible for the flowering of the plants. Then it is also responsible for ripening of the fruits. It also helps in phototropism, geotropism, chemotropism and nastic movements. Okay, so this flowering, fruiting and the growth, all these are dependent upon the phase of sunlight, phase of light also, that is called photoperiodism. But this photoperiodism, I think this is not given in your NCERT book, but just for the sake of your knowledge, I will just tell you about this phototropism. Photoperiodism. Photoperiodism means it is the stimulus, where light becomes a stimulus, and the phase of light, how much time is required by any plant for its flowering, is called as phototropism. Means it is the length of the day which is going to decide the flowering time, flowering season, that becomes its photoperiodism. And there are two types of plant, long day plant and the short day plants. So short day plants, they require very less amount of sunlight, means they require a very short photoperiod, and the long day plants require a very long photoperiod, where the long day is required for the flowering of the plant. Okay, so this is how the photoperiodism or photoperiod is also responsible for the germination or the flowering of the plant. So this phytohormones and together with this photoperiodism, both are responsible for the control and coordination in the plants. So that was all about this chapter, in which we have studied about coordination in plants, coordination in animals. In animals, there are mainly the nervous system and the endocrine system, which is responsible for the control and coordination, where neurons are present, which is going to pass the signal from one neuron to the another neuron. And in the plants also, there are hormones which are responsible mainly for the conduction of these messages from one place to another. But these messages are transferred from one part of the plant to another part of the plant with the help of the hormones such as the auxins, gibberellins, cytokinins, abscisic acid, ethylene. Okay, so these are the plant hormones, or they are also called the phytohormones, which is going to give you the response by the plant in the form of their growth and development. Okay, so this was all about this chapter. I'll come up with the next chapter in the next video of class 10th. That's all for today. Thank you children for watching this video.